Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome once again to the New Way podcast. We break down pop culture so you do not have to. I am your host, Matt Shank, joined in the studio by my co-host, Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Oh, hi.
Hi, good to see your lovely legs in the chair tonight. That's always a welcome sight in here. And coming in hot with a hot t-shirt from Los Angeles. And Nick, you will have to tell everyone your t-shirt, but it's Mr. Nicholas Santacroce.
I think we should also explain Ben's legs are out for context.
The legs are out. They are out and proud.
Tasteful khakis, about thigh length, would you say?
You know, it's got Nick. That's why we're on the same wavelength. We really our periods have been in sync recently because this is number one on my list of notes to discuss.
Gotta love a good thigh.
This is number one on my list because I was gaslit so hard this week by Nick. I don't think my brain has ever run through so many scenarios where it just kept going back to he's fucking with me, right? And then I'm like, and it's like, no, I don't think he's fucking with you. I'm like, he's fucking with me. Like we can't be having this conversation. So, New Way listeners, we need you to weigh in this. We had a 137 message conversation while Ryan is on his honeymoon, where I mentioned, you can be a leg man, you can be a butt man, you can be a boob man, whatever your part of the anatomy is that you're really into, and
you could be a butt woman. You could be a
butt woman. You could be a package woman. She might like the dick. You know, that's what it is. It's how it happens. But I made the mistake of being like, I like legs, but I'm really into thighs. And Nick was like, "That what is that? That's a leg." And I go, "Well, no. There's parts to the leg. There's a calf. There's a thigh. There's the butt, which is technically the top of the leg." And Nick's like, yeah, but the thigh is like, and Nick keeps sending pictures that are a zoomed in, like 1 by 1 inch square inch section of a thigh.
Of skin. It's skin.
Skin.
It's just skin.
And I go, and he's like, well, this is the thigh. This is what you're into. And I'm like, oh, it's part of, and you're like, but seriously, guys, what is a thigh? And you kept saying the question, what is a thigh? And I'm like, and you even brought up chicken before we could get to that point to make the comparison to chicken, where you understand it if it's in a bucket, but when it's on a human being, it's like, I honestly, Nick, my brain, everything shut down for the rest of the afternoon. My brain couldn't.
Just like Ryan, I was catching up on that entire conversation. I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
I literally thought I was going insane. And then later that day, after rehearsal, I was out with some friends, and someone also gaslit me about daylight savings because I said I really hate daylight savings. And like, what the fuck is wrong with you? No one hates daylight savings. And I was like, but what?
Pretty much everyone does.
Pretty much everyone does.
Everyone does love. They weren't gaslighting you. What are you talking about? You idiot. Everyone loves daylight savings.
Fuck. I'm going to beat you with my thighs. How did you, as a child who grew up watching GoldenEye, how do you not know the difference between thighs? She doesn't kill a man with her legs. She kills him with her thighs. Xenia Onatopp.
That is canon.
That is canon.
Yeah, it's true.
It's great stuff.
I'm not debating that. I'm not debating that at all. Right there in the lyrics, you know?
I'm just glad we eventually got to a place where you're like, oh, I had to make an articulated photo that was labeled with the portion like I was a butcher.
And I think we saw like a screenshot where there was literally the Google search, "What is a thigh?"
That was the hardest I laughed that day.
I manipulated that though. I Googled thigh and then I went back in the search bar and changed it and took a screenshot for comedic effect.
Oh, sure, of course you did. Yeah.
Sometimes, I don't think my genius and intentionality is appreciated in my own time.
Sure. It sounds like a late 80s Meatloaf song. What is a thigh?
The question, what is the thigh? It honestly broke me. I don't.
That is the question that Mike Patton is referring to. What is it? What is a thigh? It was the full track.
It's a thigh. What is it?
What is it?
The original lyrics were "It's a thigh," and then he just keeps responding, "What is it?" And they're like, "It's a thigh." What is it?
What is that place above the calf?
And by the way, speaking of 90s music, I was very, very much more emotional than I thought I would be. Today was the final 60 songs that explain the 90s podcast of this iteration of his podcast.
My condolences.
I listened to the whole. I was driving back and forth to Jupiter today, and I listened to the whole thing, and I got really emotional. I really felt. I love what he did with the last episode.
Nick, do you know what the last song was they picked? What
was it?
Closing Time by Semisonic.
Oh my god!
And I love
talking about on the nose.
And that got Matt, didn't he? Bawling like a fucking baby.
I'll tell you why it got me, and well,
you don't have to try anymore.
Hey,
You're
Nick,
just ready to cry to drop the hat.
Nick, you know what? Nobody knows it, but you've got a secret smile, and you use it only for me. That's a Semisonic lyric, motherfucker.
It is. That is true. Again, not debating that. It is in the lyrics.
I think what I liked that he did with it is that he changed format slightly. Although he's been doing this on more and more episodes as well. As it used to be very straightforward. I'm going to talk.
So was it a dream or was he in purgatory the whole podcast?
Purgatory. Yeah, purgatory. No,
did they ever explain what the smoke monster was?
No, but they did. They did explain that, which I didn't know. That Closing Time is about a birth.
Well, see, I actually knew that.
I didn't know that. That was today a revelation for me that song is
it's
about.
It's not actually about a birth. It just has the allusion to, or the
coming out of the womb.
It's the double meaning. Yes.
Yeah. But coming out of the womb.
Double entendre.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like, I like watching someone kind of pivot their thing. There's no way that he was ever going to pick like a band as because he railed against that theory and idea of saying, like, I'm going to pick one song that is, my song of the 90s. And instead he picked a Goodbye, and the whole episode was about goodbyes. It wasn't about Semisonic, and he's done that a couple of times in other episodes as well, where he's kind of pivoted a little bit to make it about a feeling more than the exact band.
Semisonic.
Yeah. I'm so glad.
In my name, it was Semisonic.
Semisonic. That's right. Listen.
Spider-Man.
Guys, if I didn't mispronounce things on this show, no one would listen, because now I'm going to get 30 texts from my friends making fun of the way that I said. What is the other way I say about it?
It's not
liquor.
It's not 100% Sonic. It's semi-Sonic, you could say. Sonic-esque.
Honestly, though, I learned a lot about the backstory of Semisonic that I did not know this morning.
I did not either.
Who knows anything about Semisonic? I mean, really.
Well, I mean, you know that Dan Wilson's like the lead singer of Semisonic's like one of the most famous producers in the world today.
I didn't know that.
Well,
I mean, I know that.
You know that now.
He wasn't playing guitar for Ryan Gosling at the Oscars producing, but I'm sure he's
no, he's only just produced for Taylor Swift and Adele and Sia and a bunch of other people.
Okay, all right.
Well, speaking of the Oscars, we are recording post Oscars. Thoughts, opinions, hot takes on the Oscars from anyone here?
Nick said he was just fresh off of watching I'm Just Kidding In.
I've been rewatching that live performance an embarrassing amount of times. It was my favorite moment from the Oscars in the past 10 years. I'm trying to think of something that was that much fun and made me feel like I used to feel when I watched the Oscars when I was a kid.
It's the blame Canada for this generation.
Yeah, it totally 100% is.
I will also
and even more more meaningful. That was just a treat to see. Robin Williams prancing around on stage with no real stakes, knowing that they were going to lose the Oscar, there was really some dynamics at play here. You know, would that song win Best Oscar against the biggest slam dunk best song in the same movie? And like on top of that, you know, I gotta say, like, I'm rewatching it, and like the production is amazing, and it's hilarious that how they start off with him in the audience and pull back to reveal he's right behind Margot, and there's a lot of clever, you know, clever staging there. But like the best thing upon like the third, fourth viewing of that performance is Greta. Who has this,
she's so into it.
She has this look like her best friends came up with the perfect surprise party.
Yeah.
That hit every note that like proves to her how well they know her. That was the look in her eye. Like she just kind of threw her arms up like, I can't believe they pulled this off.
Doesn't
she clearly didn't know.
Doesn't she have a writing credit on that too? Doesn't she and Baumbach have writing credits on that song?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think they wrote. Like,
I thought you meant the
chunks of it.
production.
No.
Because she looked completely shell shocked.
She knew something would be, but it's one of those. You know, they're going to do something, but what are they going to do?
Yeah. And apparently Gosling had a big hand in like planning that and making it like a frame for frame Monroe.
The shot of the guy that did the shot of like the behind the scenes from up in the balcony that's shooting it, where you can actually see the Steadicam operator making that really fucking difficult move to operate that with one hand and then go upstairs and work around. I'm like, this is what needs to be shown. Like, this is crew fucking busting their ass for this number and having a good time.
And it was the first Continental SNL sketch reference on the Oscars.
I love also that all the crew was dressed in cowboy hats as well.
And
like, it's amazing.
And
and also that's good producing too, because like, yes, it gets everybody into it, but it also hides them a little bit. You know, they become part of the ensemble from like a theater kid perspective. You know, they were thinking with portals.
So,
sorry, Ben, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, obviously, like, I loved it as much as you guys did, but my favorite moment from the Oscars from a musical standpoint was Billie Eilish and Phineas performing What Was I Made For? And after she, like, I mean, it was a fucking immaculate performance.
Yeah.
And you hear a pin
It was
drop,
electric,
And then she backs off, she goes, holy shit.
Yeah.
And like what a dichotomy. You have like one song that totally delivered on and leaned into the production value versus this stripped down, electrifying. And look, that song really, truly,
it's fucking amazing.
I can't think, and like in the past, one of my biggest gripes about that category is sometimes if they got, you know, if they got like Drew Hill to record a song and they just throw it on at the credits, you know, that
It's
could
the
get
Phil
nominated
Collins
for the song.
rule.
Well, no, Phil Collins wrote the songs for Tarzan, right? They're in the movie, but like in the 80s, you know, there are songs, and I'm not talking like Somewhere Out There where Linda Ronstadt re-records it and they play that during the credits, but like the characters sang it in the body of the film. I'm talking, you record a song that only plays during the credits, it's just like, they'll get Cardi B to do a song, or like, Too Hot to Handle, Too Cold to Hold, the Wet Hot American Summer, random song that plays during the credits that has no bearing on the plot, right? When you think about What Was I Made For, not only does it set a mood, not only are the actual themes weaved in through the score by Mark Ronson, and not only does it have a place in the film, it's the most important part of the film, and that song has to work for that movie to work.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I can't think of a bigger slam dunk best song in my lifetime. I truly can't.
I will say the only thing I thought of this would be the hat trick for in terms of like most fun and interesting performances on there, but also one I thought very much deserved to win. In fact, I thought two nominees in this certain year deserved to win, and one up going to Lord of the Rings for original song for Lord of the Rings, which is fine, but I think it's another one that's over the credits. Like, it's what you're talking about, Nick. But one of my all-time favorite performances on the Oscars is Kiss at the End of the Rainbow from Mighty Wind, with Catherine O'Hara
Catherine
and
O'Hara
Eugene
and
Levy.
Eugene Levy when they kissed.
And written by Michael McKean and Annette O'Toole, his wife. They wrote it. So they were the ones that would have gone up to accept. That is still the more... I talk about hearing a pin drop on stage when they get to the moment from the movie of they're like, are they going to kiss or not? Everyone in the crowd just fucking silent. And that also was the year that Triplets of Belleville was up. And I would take either of those two songs over that Lord of the Rings. Versus this year, I think we got the great performance and another great performance and the right winner, which is that very rarely happens.
And the thing is, you know, you're thinking they snub Greta for best director, which becomes a monologue, you know, and then they cut to her every time, you know, and here she's just trying to enjoy the night, right? Imagine how awkward that it would have ultimately been if I'm Just Ken won that Oscar, because the thing is, both songs electrified the audience. They were shots of adrenaline into the show, strategically placed. They're both great, but just one is just
I think
more special.
I think the Academy as a whole, as an unspoken thing, recognized what they needed to do, which was honor the movie, honor the right song from the movie, and also know that they're going to still get people to tune in to watch. So to me, it's also kind of calculated on the Oscars to say, put I'm Just Ken up there because it's going to get people to tune in and they're going to talk about this performance. We're not giving them the award, but they need to be there. They need to be there.
And not only that, you know, but we're not going to give the director a nomination. We're going to put her front and center. We know how important this movie was to revitalizing our industry, galvanizing people to go to the theater again.
But has there been anything? But has ever a snub elicited more of a positive outturn for that person who was snubbed? Like that's the kind of thing.
Only,
like,
I mean,
she
Argo.
Yeah, and it happens. This does happen every so often where they literally she's basking in it. Every time they're cutting to her, she is enjoying the fact that she's sitting at the fucking Oscars, knowing she's not nominated, knowing she made the biggest fucking movie in that room for everyone there, and just being like, yeah, you didn't fucking do shit for me, did you? But you know what? But you know it, and now you have to do shit for me in the future. Like she's
in the position now where she has just over delivered on every one of her 3 films, and I just can't wait for her next one, you know? And I think
that's everybody now.
I think she gets it. And you know, I do have one hot take. I have some Studio Ghibli slander.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it took down your mighty Spider-Man. Oh boy, here we go. Oh boy.
Listen. Tell
us why the Americans should have won, Nick.
Well, see, this is it.
Uh-oh.
Miyazaki is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. His contributions to animation specifically are, on par with Walt Disney. All right?
But
Spirited Away is maybe the single most deserving Oscar for Best Animated Feature in the history of the award, in my opinion. You could argue. But The Boy and the Heron is not a best. And when you put it up against Across the Spider-Verse, I can't shake the feeling.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I have not seen it. I have not seen it.
I've seen it, and it is really up there with his weakest films. And it's his last film, and he's a legend, and I can't shake the feeling that the Academy, who votes on emotion, just didn't watch it, didn't watch anything. It's his last movie. It's being widely praised. I walked out of the theater. I was like, I don't know about that. I was so excited.
So did the star from Spider-Verse as they got on Twitter after the Oscars and went scorched earth and then deleted it all. But
the thing is, I kind of get it. You see Miyazaki supposedly doing his, like Kiss does the last tour, right? Who knows? He may be back, but if he isn't, let's get him let's get him another trophy for his, a well-deserved trophy. Let's give him another training day Oscar. And we gave the Spider-Man, cartoon Oscar last time around. We don't need to give him another superhero. Come on, we're over that right now, right? Let's give it to a legend, living legend.
Did the first Spider-Man get an Oscar?
It did. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
I think
well,
the Academy is like,
and-
we already gave him one. It's a Spider-Man cartoon. We got to give it to Studio Ghibli.
That's what I was gonna say. Is because this is clearly part one of a part two. It ends in a complete it ends like the Two Towers.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not the end of the story.
I also, Nick,
So-
your argument is,
I
that
think there's no question that the next one is going to win Best Animated
but
Picture.
also your argument is amazing to me because
My
he
argument
won.
is sound.
He
Matthew.
won. He won one Oscar. Spider-Man
Right.
won one Oscar. So they were both up for their sophomore Oscar. And you're just
God.
mad that the one that's never going to make another movie got the sophomore
I'm just-
Oscar versus.
I
I had forgotten that the first
And
one
this,
think
won.
that
and this is the
I-
guy that
listen,
made
if
Howl's
had
Moving
never
Castle,
won, yeah.
Princess Mononoke.
If
I mean, come on.
Spider-Man, if the first one had not won an Oscar, I honestly had forgotten it had. I was with your argument until you reminded me of that, and then I was like, no, they were on the same label. It doesn't matter.
But
It
see,
doesn't
but
matter.
see what the most deserving, most boundary pushing, emotional film should win Best Animated Film.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that superhero fatigue plays into this. I think just the incredible popularity of Spider-Man plays into this. And I understand. I know. I have about 5 Spider-Man Funko Pops and T-shirt, and you look at my apartment. I have a magnetic Spider-Man hanging on my fridge. Yeah, I'm a homer. I'll be the first to admit that, right? I think that actually hurt across the Spider-Verse in terms of winning, because it's like it's a major property. We already gave it an Oscar. It's. Let's give this to a true auteur, but it's undeniable when you look at the second Spider-Verse, its evolution, the new things it brought in terms of style and animation. It distinguished itself. It is on par or better depending on the day. For me, the first one, it is the best animated film in that category.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you, Nick, but does
Almost objectively.
Does that movie exist without Totoro, or without Castle in the Sky, or without Princess Mononoke, or without Howl's Moving Castle? No, it absolutely does not. So
Because then there wouldn't be a Studio Ghibli to make it. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying.
Why does that
I'm saying,
deserve an Oscar?
No, he's saying
I'm saying
Spider-Verse
Spider-Verse would
doesn't
not
exist
exist without Miyazaki. So, yes, they're giving him his due.
Well, then why didn't they give it to him for Princess Mononoke when he deserved it?
Because they fucked up then, and they're now doing it now.
Well, why don't they give him a lifetime achievement then?
That'd be nice too.
Yeah, he'll get one of those
Yeah.
too.
Why not?
Listen,
Why don't they give him a well-deserved lifetime achievement?
Nick,
and I'm telling you, have you seen?
I will put
have
you
you seen-
5-1 odds right now. 5-1 odds. Like I'm saying, I will put $100 or my $500 and your $100 to win 100 each way. That the sequel, the next Spider-Verse movie, wins Best Animated Feature. It will, because this is part one of a part two.
And it will be
But
the
see-
same year that Miyazaki gets the Lifetime Achievement Award, and they're going to go out together,
Yep,
and they're going to
yep.
both
Listen,
hold their
listen, I
trophies
don't-
up
I
and
don't-
combine them like
listen.
the Triforce.
I don't like that the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in a row and they're a dynasty now, but they fucking earned it. Like, if that's the case, Spider-Verse should be the first trilogy to win an Oscar for every single movie. And that's significant too. And if it's well earned, then we are robbed of that precedent.
There was another trilogy that should have won Best Picture for every movie. We'll talk about that later.
Anywho, I all good points. All there.
Listen, do you think there's going to be a sequel? The Boys and the Herons? Is there anything to build off of? Have you seen the
it's
Boy and the
Boy
Herons?
into the Heronverse is
Have you
obviously going to happen.
Have either of you? Oh
no,
God!
I haven't seen it.
Oh no, this is bad.
Oh, what is happening?
I just got a text. Oh shit! I just got a text from my therapist.
Oh, did you forget a session?
I forgot a session.
Do you need to go? Do you want to wait? Do you want to bring her on?
What do you think this is?
Do you think you can bring her on? Call her.
No. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh
This
fuck.
is
Oh fuck. What do I
actually
do?
happening in real time. I don't know.
It's real
I can't
happening.
tell
It's
you
real
what to do. I can say after that rant, maybe you should be talking to someone other than us.
Oh no!
I
this is
mean,
bad.
Nick can leave. We can talk about stuff and then come back.
If you want to, Nick, you let us know,
All right,
buddy.
Yeah, let me just rejoin 1 second. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry.
All right,
I'm sorry.
All right, go back. All right.
All right, bye.
Oh God.
It's okay. He needs therapy.
I was gonna say, I think we just really leaned into that pretty hard over that last bit. No, I think we're all passionate about many Oscar categories in ways. I feel I understand some of his angst over it.
I do too.
And I because I've felt it before as well, where actors get it, where I'm like, they're getting it for body of work or for whatever. and it's not the best
honestly,
performance.
that was the one I was most sure of. Is I was like, Spider-Verse is going to run away with
Yeah.
that one, and I said it out loud, and
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Miyazaki won. I mean, like, and Matt and I were watching it together, as we always do.
As we do, anniversary.
As we do. Happy anniversary to you.
You and your lovely wife and I, we all three of us met the same day.
This was number 15.
Yeah, God, that is
Happy
goddamn
15.
crazy.
Happy
15 years. That's insane.
What do you give each other at 15? Wood?
Too late.
Too late.
Thanks, buddy.
Or is it? No.
All night. It's been great. No, it was as always wonderful to watch the Oscars with you two. We also, and I don't even want to bring. I'm gonna just
After Matt spent 5 hours babysitting the girls, which was wonderful.
I honestly, I had one of the best days. I got to take the girls to be with the girls at Ren Fair, and your mom like took care of getting them there and back, which is the hardest part. And then we hung out for the afternoon. We played a game that was highly inappropriate and had inappropriate cards on it that I didn't care for.
Okay.
I did learn, this is one of my favorite things with the girls, is that I was there with our friend Adriana, who is, I can't remember if she and Brian were on the podcast for your birthday celebration. But the girls and I we were playing Kids Against Maturity. So it's a Cards Against Humanity thing where you're supposed to be like bridging generations. And it had a lot of like nothing hugely salacious on it,
But still, like, pushing the
things
edge.
on there.
Yeah.
And then the girls would, at any time a card would come up, we'd either try to, like, Adriana and I would try to hide it if we could. Nick is joining us back here. But like sometimes it'd be like something like dingleberries, and they'd be like, "What is it? What is a dingleberry?" And we would painfully try to do the definition of this. Nick, you'll get this whole story when you listen to the playback, but just hang tight as I'll finish this quickly. Okay. And so then afterward, so we go through many of these, including Luna saying the words "big white balls" several times, which was very disconcerting. And then Ben and Beth get home, and the girls go to bed, and we're talking about the game. And Ben and Beth go, they've seen every card in that deck. They know that we've talked about the definition of every one of those. They're just fucking with you. And I'm like, that was an hour and a half of them fucking with Adriana and me, and just watching us sweat to be like, I don't know what that is. Like, and then we would do the definition. They'd be like, oh, that sounds really inappropriate. So I gotta love kids that are trolling the adults. Nick, are you good to stay with us, or do you need to?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You want to do a halvesy?
And now, oh God, it's so awkward. I typed up a text to send. Just being honest, oh God, I'm so sorry. It's totally slipped my mind. I can't make it to the video conference, but it's still going through and it hasn't sent. And she just called me on the phone, and I'm in way too deep. I'm in way over my head, Matt. I'm in way over my head. I don't know what to do.
I'll tell you when we're in too deep. Yeah.
Like Sum 41, he's in too deep.
This is I mean,
I don't know if there's some real-time drama.
I don't know if this is good radio, but I'll tell you from a standpoint of being on the podcast, this is amazing.
I'll be good. Just keep going. I'm going to rejoin in just a second. Okay.
One of my top 10 moments here. So we are going. So Ben had mentioned, in addition to our topic tonight, we thought maybe we'd do a little movie pitch game, or maybe we're pitching multiple podcast ideas, but I love a little movie pitch game, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit this time, maybe make this one a little bit shorter. And we're going to utilize a board game that I crowdfunded. So yes, I'm partially responsible for the production of this game. Called Made Up Movies. And this is the game that we teased in the podcast before that Conan O'Brien and Jordan Peele were playing. Apparently, this is Jordan Peele's favorite thing to do, is to invite someone of artistic merit over to his house and play this game. And they will literally craft a movie over a couple of hours, and he'll take notes, and maybe he'll use that someday, maybe he won't. So this is a little bit different than how we have done our movie pitch game, and I'm going to use an example to get us started. So there is a card here that is called the Universal Pitch Template. And you have cards here, Nick. I've got your cards. I will show them on the screen to you. Ben has his kind of laid out in front of him there that you can see. Nick, I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see that this is kind of what this little Mad Libs looks like. So it really starts off like a Mad Libs, where you say this is a reboot of, and then you pick a movie card starring a star card and another star card. It's a genre card set in a setting card. And then the last part of it is think movie card meets movie card. And then your goal is to come up with what the title of it is. It's called blank. You have 60 seconds to do that. If we want to time it, we can figure that out if we want to. But
nice little quick game.
That's the first part. You basically get to pitch this kind of movie. It's called this. And then Ben and I and Nick all have two what are called studio executive cards. And these are where the fun improv kicks in. We are going to throw you a studio question and or note, and you have to field that question and or note in terms of the movie you have just pitched to us. So I'm going to do the example round.
So it's a short pitch, right?
Yes, it's a short pitch. Yes. Yeah. So the cards I have here are going to say, this is a reboot of Mary Poppins, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and John Cena. It's a slapstick comedy set in a rowdy sports bar. Think Rocky meets High School Musical. And it's called, and at this point we would have to come up with the title of this. So I'm thinking, what's a play on Poppins that has to do with weightlifting, like Mary Stompins,
or Mary Papa Shot if they're in a sports bar playing basketball game.
Mary Shotkins, Mary Shotput. I don't know. Mary. I like. What'd you say, Nick?
Papa Shot, Matt. Papa Shot.
Mary Papa Shot is the name of the flick. And so what will happen now is that we will read out these studio notes, and each of us has two of them. So Ben will give me a note, and he'll give Nick a note. I'll give Ben a note, and Nick a note. So these would be the two notes that would be given in this scene. Describe a funny scene in this movie. Bonus points if you act it out. We won't actually go through with this one because I want to get us to the actual game. And then tell me, describe the villain in this movie. So you would have to go through that as part of your pitch for the movie. So that is how we're going to start this. I'm gonna lead with Ben because he's got his stuff there.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
I thought we started the game with the official.
Oh
movie
my
pitch
god!
theme
I
song.
actually have it loaded up. I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the new and improved movie pitch.
Let's hear that movie pitch.
Let's hear that movie
That's
pitch.
right, it's the movie pitch game. That's pitch. P as in Peter. And your friends at the New Way Podcast have just one simple question. Do you think that it should be greenlit?
Love it.
Pitch,
Well done.
Pitch.
Pitch
Okay.
with a P. I also do have loaded up when we get to the genre card different potential soundtracks for this to just get us in the mood. So Ben,
All right.
I'm gonna give you. Do you want the template or do you kind of?
No, I know how it goes.
Okay.
So, if you guys want to know, my movie is called Barbershop. The movie already exists. Or not.
No, it's not called. No,
It's in a barbershop.
No. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't.
The first one.
I did. Yeah, the first card is we are pitching a reboot. I'm so sorry.
Reboot.
We are
Oh,
pitching a
Barbershop.
reboot of the first movie card you do. You come up with the title yourself.
Okay, a reboot Barbershop.
Barbershop.
Love it, Barbershop.
Oh my god.
Starring Robert De Niro and Jim Carrey.
How did you
Wow.
get this job?
Wow.
Man? Nepotism.
It's a murder mystery. Now,
Okay.
set in the eye of a hurricane, so it's Barbershop in the eye of a hurricane. Okay.
Okay.
Say it's a cross between
Oh god.
Boy.
Brokeback Mountain and the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And what's the title of this film, Ben? You've got what did you say the genre was? A hurricane? I'm gonna do
The Hair Up There.
The Hair Up There. I love it, Ben. All right, so Nick, I am going to hold up one of your studio executive cards. You're going to read this out loud, and this is going to be your studio executive question and/or note for Ben. You able to read it, or is it backwards?
Oh, I see. You put it on the other camera. Let me see.
Is it backwards?
Yes, Ben. I have a question. What is the last thing we see before the credits roll?
Well, clearly you see Santa Claus with all of his hair actually been returned to him. Warmly embracing his friend in the eye of a hurricane. Just as the other side's about to pass over when they know they're about to die.
And Ben, this is not one of my studio executive notes, but just out of curiosity, you mentioned a couple of actors attached to this picture. What roles are they playing in this film?
Robert De Niro is Santa Claus.
Robert De Niro is Santa Claus, and Jim Carrey is
His gay lover.
I hate to say this, guys, but contractually, Tim Allen has to have the rights to that role. So that famous conservative Tim Allen needs to be in the Santa suit for the love scene. It is in his contract.
I have an actual studio note card for you. This is a weird one.
Okay.
Not gonna lie, even for this game, very weird. Which executive, I assume film executive, would you cast as the villain? And how will, it says star number one, which I believe is Robert De Niro. How will Robert De Niro kill them? So how will Santa Claus kill the executive you have chosen?
Wait, what?
So
That makes no sense.
With kindness.
Again, I don't have all of the. So the idea is, let's say Ben, there's an executive attached to your picture as well that it wants to break into acting.
Hey, who
and
was
you're-
that?
Yeah.
Who was that last executive that gave me that question? Nick.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Well, Nick's the one that. No.
I want a real studio exec. I want you to go after a director or a producer. I want you to bring someone that they want to act, and you're going to bring them in there, and Robert De Niro is going to kill them, and you're going to tell us.
I mean, it is a murder mystery.
yes,
Actually.
yes.
So the evil villain is played by. Oh,
Well,
gosh.
if this is a Warner Brothers film, the producer is David Zaslav, and the movie will never come out, so he would be the ultimate villain.
Cute. Yeah.
Cute.
Okay, so Feige plays the.
Oh my God, you're going to kill Kevin
Oh,
Feige?
no, I mean, like in the movie.
Jesus Christ!
Wow. Okay. All right.
He's an actor in the movie. I
Yeah.
thought that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's he going to kill him?
So, in the middle of this hurricane, Santa Claus has been cutting a lot of hair.
As one does.
Jim Carrey is longtime best friend and confidant who has been working with him at the store. Knows that his friend, Pete, has suspected something about him for a long time. And uses the cloud cover of the hurricane to try to assassinate him.
Wow. I love it. Wow.
Played by Feige.
Hopefully we can get Lin-Manuel Miranda's "I Have a Hurricane" from Hamilton
I
to
have
play
no
off
idea.
this, but we'll see. Well done,
Or
well done.
at least Scorpions.
So you know what, Nick, I'm gonna make an executive decision here. I think we both responded favorably to that. So
Yeah,
I think
so. I think so.
I think we deserve to hear this.
Holy shit, that bitch just got greenlit.
Greenlit
Well
picture.
done. Well done,
Well
buddy.
done,
Well
Ben.
done. Well done.
Nick, you're gonna be up next. So again, the format is gonna be this is a reboot of blank movie.
Got it.
Starring so and so and so and so. It's this genre set in this location. Think this movie meets this movie, and then you're going to give us the title. Okay. So I'm going to hold up your cards one by one. So
By the way, my
Oh my God! You gotta fucking be kidding me! I swear to God, I did not look at these ahead of time. I promise you, I did not look at these ahead of time. Even backwards, I could read what the title was. Jesus Christ! I can't believe it. This is literally kismet. This is the most random thing that has happened on this show. All right, so what are we doing a reboot of?
You know, I have a memory of us talking about this film on this very podcast.
And it is
Cats.
Cats. We're doing a reboot of Cats. Starring.
I mean, it's taken long enough for Hollywood to get his act together and get this reboot
of course.
It's
out in the silver screen.
So starring
Brad Pitt.
Okay. And
he'll be Rumple Teaser. And Tom Cruise.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's definitely Mistopheles.
And what kind of picture is this going to be, Nick?
Well, you know, if I had to pick a certain genre, I would make it a giant monster movie, which is apropos when you think about it.
I want to watch this already.
I know.
Sounds so good. And if this picture were to be taking place somewhere, where might it be taking place?
Well, you know, if I had to pick one location, I'm thinking more like, a Steve Carell vibe, John Krasinski. How about a corporate office? Matt?
Okay, so this is Cats with Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise as a monster movie set in a corporate office. And if you were to say it was two movies, combined, what two movies would you say?
Well, it's hard because I think that my movie stands on its own as its own thing. But if I had to pick two movies, that was a combination. I'd go probably a combination of Home Alone and Elf. Two holiday movies.
I want to see it so bad already, Nick. If I want to go to if I want to get on Netflix, because this is not going to a theater, what title am I going to search for on Netflix?
God,
Jesus Christ, I want to see this so bad.
It's in an office. It's a holiday, presumably a holiday theme of cats. We're gonna call it. We're gonna call it Hats, and the logo is gonna be a little Santa, red hat with the
hats with a Santa.
And you work at a corporate office. We have to wear many hats.
Right. I love it so far. Ben, why don't you pick up one of those studio executive cards and give Nick a question or a comment?
Excuse me, sir, but what's like the moral lesson in this movie?
Never to microwave fish. Cats love fish in the company microwave.
I love it.
Oh, that's the moral lesson.
Whole movie, 90 minutes.
One of the office cats doesn't go to heaven because after their song, the counterpoint is, well, they did stink up the kitchen that one time.
It's brutal. Yeah. I mean, it is a monster movie. And Nick
brought it on themselves.
Tell me, Nick. Oh, wait, no, this was from the other one. Sorry.
All right,
I'm already thinking of songs like "I'm an office cat." When the monsters attack.
I'm an office cat.
Honestly, based on what you've just shown me here and what Ben has contributed in terms of the musical portions of this, I need you to tell me, Nick, what happens in the movie to set up a sequel?
Well, Hats is a misdirect because, Matt, as you know, this is actually a monster movie at its core. Mm-hmm. Yes, it takes place during Christmas. Yes, all the cats are working hard right before Christmas break. It's that last busy rush, that last week before they can go off with their litter, celebrate the holidays. But the boss is demanding more and more and more of them. And finally, when Mistopheles microwaves that fish, creates that stank. That's what the fumes, Matt. The fumes waft over into the boss's office, and he becomes so enraged. Now listen, the boss has been a monster this entire film, but it's the smell of that
like
rancid
this
fish that begins a physical transformation.
Do you think maybe also that the fish that is being microwaved can also become a giant monster fish because of the microwave radiation, and it could be the next the villain that's set up, kind of like Mothra in maybe a third movie, the third one that will get the Oscar. The second one's not going to get it, but the first and third will get Oscars. No?
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were frozen.
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right,
I'll do it.
awesome. All right,
Sure, why not?
One
Yeah.
more to go. This is going to be mine. You guys each have. Nick, I will hold up your studio executive card for mine, but I'm going to read you out.
I'm gonna fucking crucify you, Matt. we have budgets and lower overhead, and we could get AI to do this at a snap. You better knock my fucking socks off.
All right. So this is a reboot of. Shit, Nick's not gonna like it starting off. I'm not gonna get greenlit. This is
You know what I want? You know what I want though? I want a reboot of Reboot, that early CGI cartoon from Saturday morning.
Well, this is a reboot of Wedding Crashers,
Oh god.
starring Tom Hanks. God damn, these cars are big.
Whoa!
Amazing. And oh no,
Oh god.
it went south so fast. Starring Tom Hanks, yay, and Mel Gibson. Oh,
No!
it's a brutal war film set at a big Italian wedding. If I were to describe it to someone that didn't know what they were watching, I'd say it's Snakes on a Plane meets Dumb and Dumber.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, well, let me get my music here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes. Wait, no, I've not named the title of the movie.
Yeah, well,
yet,
name the
Ben,
title
so
of the movie
Please, let me come up with that first. So this is a reboot of Wedding Crashers. Takes place at an Italian wedding. That's good, but a brutal war film. Snakes on a Plane meets Dumb and Dumber. I'm gonna call it Cakes on the Plain. Plain. The Italian countryside. And Ben, what is your question for me?
Music by ABBA.
Describe me a really sexy scene from this movie.
Oh, there's so many. I mean, obviously, I have cast the world's biggest sex symbol, Tom Hanks, in this film because
What? No,
he is-
Simpson.
no, but I've cast Tom Hanks and Mel. But
I know.
people are coming there for the sex appeal of
Now,
Tom
is this-
Hanks.
Is this Tom Hanks as an adult, or is there a child inside of his adult body?
Well, you kind of hit the nail on the head. The sexy scene. No, wait, I can't go there. I cannot say there was a child inside Tom Hanks' adult body.
It's not a big homage.
No, there is a very important moment in the film. They've crashed this wedding in the middle of a brutal war that it's taking place, and they realize that they're not so smart, and they think they're gay even though they're not, and they start feeding each other wedding cake. And it is a very erotic scene of Tom Hanks being fed wedding cake by Mel Gibson.
Is the war against wokeness, Matt?
You bet. Well, that and the Jews, but mostly
The
wokeness.
brutal war?
Yes, absolutely. And Nick, what is? Nick's studio note. I'm going to hold it up for him.
I love it, but I hate your title. And honestly, this is my real note. Pitch me a new one.
God damn it! Cakes on a Plane was fantastic.
How about my big fat PHAT Italian wedding?
Italian.
I am half Italian. I can
My big fat high Italian wedding. Yes, we will do this. That is the film. You know what, guys? Seriously. That's greenlit. Sorry, we didn't greenlight. We didn't greenlight Nick's film, but all the rest of us got our film greenlit, so it's good stuff.
Matthew, you don't have to put on the the green light.
I cannot. I know everyone is not going to believe this. I shit you not. I picked random cards from the deck. I got Tom Hanks and Nick got Cats as a workplace comedy. If Home Alone meets Elf.
I'm honestly just in shock of how cool my therapist is.
That is actually pretty fantastic.
She was really, really cool about this.
I imagine also that tends.
I don't even think I'm going to get I don't think I'm even going to get a cancellation fee.
That's very nice.
She's the best.
So
hopefully she doesn't listen to the podcast.
No. Well, also, so we're 50 minutes into the podcast right now. We've not gotten to our topic.
I thought that was the topic.
So we're gonna kind of seg over into this, and if we feel like we're rushing a little bit too much, we'll pick it up in the next episode. We haven't done that yet.
I think we've given the listeners
enough
more content than they deserve. Quite frankly.
You just want to call it? You want to call it at 49 minutes?
Let's get the fuck out of here.
No, Nick. Nick, if you can come
I still have 30 minutes left on my session. I can just jump back in.
Nick, if you can come up with 11 minutes of music from Cats, the monster movie, then we will not go into the topic.
I was fucking born for this.
No, we're getting to the topic. So,
okay.
First of all, this is a nice companion piece to some of our episodes, but especially to a very, very early episode we did on the podcast. This episode was episode 13. We were just young-faced,
Lucky
just
13.
babes in the wild. We recorded it on June 28th, 2013. Folks, that is over a decade old. But Did
you record that in the Florida room in the outdoor screened patio?
It was not in my house. This was one that I believe we did at the patio at Ben's house, one of our first patio records over that summer. But we did talk about movie musicals. We have no idea. I remember talking about South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, and maybe 1776. I don't remember the rest of it. So we're gonna
I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
I know. So we're gonna focus today on adapting things from stage to screen. That means more than just musicals, and probably a lot more focus on plays today, a bit.
Well, and that was my whole point. Is when we were speaking with Seth on the last episode, I was like, wow, there are tons of, because we were talking about Killer Joe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, Killer Joe was the movie of Matthew McConaughey, like William Friedkin directed that movie. And I was like, we've never talked about like all of those movies that have come from plays. We've talked about musicals, we've talked about adaptations, but we haven't specifically gone down that road.
So I have a question for you, Ben, because this is interesting to me, and I think one of the reasons why it is also kind of fascinating to look at it separately from musicals a little bit is that musicals are both do and don't lend themselves better to film for various reasons. There's more big productions that can be very cinematically fresh, but then breaking into song and film is not very organic, and you're missing a lot of that stage and choreography for group things on there. But from a play standpoint, what do you think makes a good translation to screen, or what possibly hurts a play when it's being translated to screen?
It's a really interesting question because I grapple with it all the time, because there are tons of times where I feel like putting the stage, the stage play on screen works just without changing almost anything. Just fleshing it out, making it actually look like it's in an actual, film or actually real world context.
In a real location.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are other times when it clearly does not work. When doing that straight stage to screen adaptation doesn't work. Where it needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. It needs to be expanded a little bit more.
Okay.
So, I'm not really sure what the secret sauce is there, because some work really well for me and some don't. Nick, what do you think?
I think it is mostly on the roles. Like what actors are we working with, and what are the roles like? Is it Denis Villeneuve is doing a ton of press for Dune 2.
I'm sorry, I have to correct you because Paul let us know it is Villanueve.
Villanueve.
Villanueve, yes. Paul let us know.
Is that true for real? That's not true.
No.
Right?
Oh,
Okay,
Paul
God.
just kept calling him
God damn it.
Villanueva, and Ben and I were laughing.
Jesus. Oh my God, that's great. Anyway, he's been talking about how he doesn't like to use a lot of dialogue with film because, when we didn't have TV or film, you'd go to see a live play, and it really revolved around performance and the lines that were delivered, the exposition. But with film, you have this visual medium that you can create lasting images and tell a story that way.
Show, don't tell.
Yeah, you could tell stories you can't tell in theater, with the mise en scène, if you will.
Ooh.
But when you take a play that is revolved around performance, then make that performance, or maybe even a dramatic event, turn in the plot, become the strong points of the film. Then I think it can work. I mean, you got Neil Aboot, who worked in plays and then directed film and literally adapted his own plays. Shape of Things, it's crazy.
Shape of Things is so good.
I've never seen the play.
Yeah.
It works. To me, it works as a great movie. I'm curious how it would be on stage, to be honest with you, because to me, it plays like a better movie. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's all about the performances and the twists.
It's exactly
in
the
action.
same. There's nothing different.
Yeah,
about
it's super interesting, and that's a great example. I love Ben introduced me to that. I'd never seen it before. That was literally as soon as we met. I think it was one of the first things you brought up to me. I didn't know about it,
and you still haven't seen his follow up, Nurse Betty.
I have seen Nurse Betty, but anyway,
Just kidding. Of course you have.
I'm a terrible human being. No,
I just wanted to get you on the record. Continue.
Go ahead. Good. I think it's really fascinating because you guys bring up two really interesting things, and what's so interesting about the going from stage to screen, and also when you watch, there are plenty of times you watch a film and you're like, oh, this feels like a play in a good way sometimes, or this feels like a play in a bad way.
Mammoth.
Yeah, and like Shape of Things is really fascinating. Is that's one I can absolutely, to me, it feels like a play. I love watching it on screen. I have no issue with it, but it feels like a play. And everyone's performances, I guarantee if that was on stage, those performances would be bigger and altered, which I think is a huge part of what happens when you have to go to a different medium. And this was something that Rockwell talked about on the Smartless podcast, of being like, when you're going between stage and film, you have to completely alter how you're working for the medium that you're working for.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Paul Rudd or Rachel Weisz work on the stage.
Yeah.
I think they work really well in a film. I don't think they're... Well, especially Paul Rudd is... Funny enough, because he can be so big, but in the dramatic role, I don't count on him as being big enough for that role on stage.
No, and that's a great point, and I think so. There's some interesting ones, Nick. There's one that always pops up on my radar that I always forget about, and I've never seen the stage production. I've only seen the film, and I'm a fan of the film. It was a film that was kind of. It was a very big acting film for me to watch in the early 90s, which is Driving Miss Daisy. And Driving Miss Daisy is based on a play that takes place with three characters, and it's in the car. There's nothing else going on. It's these three characters, and it is very contained and very small. And you watch a movie like that, and you wouldn't guess watching the movie that it was based on a play. And I think that's kind of an interesting...
In TV, the bottle episodes are the plays adapted to television.
Very much. Well, I mean, also, God, we're very much in tune tonight, Nick, I've got to say, because one of the things I always loved about television, and especially the Desi Arnaz 3-camera classic sitcom standpoint, was that it was theater. That it always felt, when I watched an episode of Seinfeld or an episode of Friends or Cheers or Night Court, I felt like I was watching 22-minute plays every week, because that's really what they are. They're done in front of a live audience. There's very little editing. There's very little redoing of things. You're basically watching an audience watching a show with you. I feel that something happened, and I'm going to blame it on Chuck Lorre, that I think he ruined the medium and dumbed it down so much that it's not fun anymore. But that was I always felt that sitcoms were theater to me as a child. Like that.
Way
that
to go,
Chuck.
Wow.
Like it like that's something that's really interesting. But that's the other side of this, by the way, that I think is fascinating to look at when you're going to translate a play to film is you lose the audience. And that's the biggest thing that you have to navigate, I think, as a director and as a performer, is that you don't have laugh holds. You don't have moments of applause.
You need a dynamic actor to fill those moments.
My assumption right now is that I'm sure we've all seen some really transformative, like, amazing theater in person. Matt,
the animator or the musical?
Matt, what? Yeah. No, I'm not talking about musicals. I'm talking about musicals or plays.
I know.
What's the best performance, Matt? What's the best performance you've ever seen
on stage?
On stage, and it wasn't something that's been adapted into a movie. Okay, never mind.
No. In terms of, like,
he's the only one that can give you a real answer. I have been to so few plays,
but mine's also more of like having like the Crucible on stage is still the best thing I have seen in theater as a whole in my life. And it has been made into a movie. And it's been made into a movie with fucking Daniel Day-Lewis in it.
And Winona Ryder.
And Winona Ryder. But I saw Liam Neeson and Laura Linney fucking eat that show up so hard that I don't think I've ever recovered from it. And so but that's also like, it's so funny when you talk kind of performances like that. I've also been on stage with people that I've watched do a performance that I'm like, I don't think I'm going to see better than this. But Kevin Crawford, that was an actor I worked with who passed away. I saw him in 12th Night as Sir Andrew Aguecheek, and it was a tour de force. And it's a role that has never worked on film for me. It's always played in a way that was not as interesting as what I saw on stage. And I think that's the other side of it. Like, so we roundabout have talked about this film on the podcast and in real life, but there's a film called, I believe the film is called Carnage, but it's based on a play called God of Carnage. And the casting choices
is that the one with
John C. Reilly, Jodie Foster,
James Gandolfini, and Winslet, right? I think. So
who plays Eddie Brock?
Jesus Christ! Such a dumb joke, Nick.
Is Tom Hardy in this too?
I hate how much I like that joke, but it's such a dumb joke. Anyway,
suck it.
So I remember when Ben and I were talking about that play, because the cast in the Broadway version is four polar opposite actors. Like, no one in the same. It was Jeff Daniels, and I think Daniels played the same role as Gandolfini. Like, there were all of these casting choices that were so different to me. But that's also the thing that we've talked about here that I like. Why I don't get mad so much at reboots is I come from theater interest where I love the idea of watching a play with 4 different actors in it and it's the same play. Like, I want to see what choices those 4 people make, or what their chemistry is like, or how it works. And I think that's where a lot of the ones that wound up on my list are, and Nick said it, I think it is the number one most important thing is casting. I think the cast that you choose going from stage to screen is number one on the list of priorities. And then I think it's, what is your envisioning of that? Now, I don't know if you agree, Ben. I think you might disagree.
No, so I somewhat agree.
Okay.
For example, I don't think that Glenn Ross is all that great.
Okay.
I don't think it's an exceptional play.
As a play versus movie.
I don't think it's a great movie.
Okay.
Too many Glens. Too many Glens.
Especially with the reboot with Glenn Powell. I mean, come on.
Yeah. He's perfect for the role.
God, guys, we're in tune tonight. We're really together tonight. I love it. I love it so much.
No, fine.
It's like the Mighty Ducks lining up for the flying V. You just feel it. You just feel it happening.
I think that people like that movie more. I think they like the movie more than they should.
Wait. Are we Mighty Ducks or Glengarry?
No, Glengarry. No.
Okay.
Well, I'll side with you on that, Ben. I think people like Alec Baldwin's monologue, and that's what they like, and they apply it to the whole movie.
Yeah, and they like the cast. Other than that,
yes,
they love Jack Lemmon. They love
other than Kevin Spacey.
Coffee is for closers.
Well, they love Kevin Spacey until Kevin Spacey was Kevin Spacey.
It's true. This is true.
They love the highlights in that movie, and they love the cast, and they don't actually like the movie that much.
Okay,
the movie is kind of
fair.
Not
it's
great.
slow, very slow in the second half.
probably would work better as a play.
Oh, imagine that.
And you know, Matt, if I could kind of reverse engineer this conversation, right?
Ooh.
Like what makes a good adaptation from stage to screen. I know this is a musical, but on the Roku channel, I've been singing the praises of the production of the Heathers musical, which is obviously based on a film, right? So they went backwards,
Yeah.
as a lot of musicals do. Not a lot of plays do that. But like, I was shocked at how long the scenes could play out and how creative they got with covering it. They had, a bunch of cameras strategically positioned. Set pieces were perfectly positioned. So when they cut from camera A to camera B, it felt like an edited, blocked drama, like a made-for-TV movie remake, not a live production. So they were finding ways to make those longer scenes actually feel more like the language of film, because now if you're, think about it, if you're at Roku, you're not charging people tickets to come into their Roku theater and watch the Heathers musical. There still needs to be that sort of pizzazz language of film to keep the modern day viewer involved. And like they skirted that line in an interesting way. I know that's kind of
No.
apples and oranges.
Honestly, you kind of brought up something, Ben. You might be most qualified to answer this, but you brought up a really interesting question I've never thought of before. Has anyone ever adapted a movie into a play, not a musical, which happens often? But has anyone ever taken a movie and made a play of the movie?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
God damn it, that's a fucking good one too. And I saw that last
To
year.
Kill a Mockingbird was a book that was turned into a movie
and turned into a play.
And Network, right, with Cranston recently.
That's another good one. God damn it, you guys are way better than me. I'm so sorry.
I would have
I'm
loved
just gonna
to
kill
see.
myself. I'm so sorry. I didn't. I
It's a-
brought shame on this musical.
You're a musicals guy. You're a musicals guy, Matt. No one can.
I know. That's what I am.
I would now say I wish I could see that Network, because again,
I
like
wanted
the Heather's
to see
thing,
that too.
They had a moment where obviously it takes place at a TV station. If you haven't seen Network, spoiler alert. But in the middle of the scene, a real life cameraman follows Cranston outside live. And there's a part where security would line up outside the theater, and Cranston would have a scene right outside that was being broadcast back into the live studio audience, and come back and rejoin the audience. That's another example of kind of the reverse engineering. And we know you're watching a play, but we're kind of going to use the familiarity, the language of film TV for a meta reference for a play about TV.
And they kind of just did that again with this is another famous play turned into movie, then still continue to be done as a play, which is Sunset Boulevard, which they just did one in London with where they literally had the performers outside with cameras walking the streets of London with just the crowd of people in London delivering lines and walking to the theater like it was like a Jimmy Kimmel or Conan O'Brien sketch. Like I've never seen anything like it before.
Dude, what wasn't the Harry Potter was a play, right?
Harry, that's a tangled web. Harry Potter is a book that becomes a movie. Then they write a book based on the books that's kind of fan fiction because it's not actually written by Rowling, but she's overseeing it. They take that, which is written as a play, not as a book. That play gets turned into an actual play. But then they're like, this play is told in two parts. That's too many. We're going to cram it down into one. And now we have just one show based on it. I don't even know where the fuck that falls in our discussion.
So we're not going to count it then. We're not going
but I'll say what's really fascinating with Glengarry Glen Ross for me is that there's like the only time I ever don't where I feel like I would love to live in New York, but I don't ever want to live in New York, but I miss a lot of things, is they did in 2005, they did Glengarry Glen Ross in Central Park as part of their show over the summer. And it was Alan Alda, Jeffrey Tambor, Liev Schreiber in Glengarry Glen Ross. And I'm like, and to me, that's where I'm like, I don't honestly care what show they're reading. I want to see it.
Was Oliver Platt?
We could only hope Oliver Platt would be involved in that. But
should have been.
For me,
he wasn't. He should have been.
casting is always, it will always be number one for me. But then I say that with a grain of salt, and that I think that you can also do things cinematically as well.
No. Well, let's rewind that. The most powerful play I've ever seen in person was August Osage County. I saw it in 2008 with the original Broadway cast, and I was floored. That's a Tracy Letts play. The movie sucks fucking balls, and it has a great cast.
Yeah,
it has an amazing cast.
You don't like your balls? You don't like your balls sucked?
Also, by the way, Tracy Letts married to Carrie Coon, maybe the best power duo, like low key power duo in all of them.
Tracy Letts also the best playwright, who's also an actor.
Also a good actor.
Yeah.
He's in Ford versus Ferrari and fucking kills it.
I love him in Big Short. Michael, give me my fucking money.
You know I hate to backtrack on this podcast, but if something sucks balls, wouldn't that be a good thing?
Maybe.
Anyway,
I know I'm not. I'm not pretending you're the first person to come up with this.
Nick,
bit,
I've given you a lot of positive affirmation tonight. I'm not giving you that one. You just go back. You got 60 seconds timeout.
No.
60 seconds timeout was not your best.
Fair.
So I love that you brought up that play, Ben, because you were one of the things that's very nice about knowing Ben and Nick and us being friends together is that we all have kind of different avenues of input coming to us. So we're seeing different things, we're hearing different things, we're watching different things, and sometimes
Matt has one incorrect take, Ben has one incorrect take, and then I
Nick
come
has
in
all
with the truth.
as JB has told us, Nick has all of the funniest, best takes. We got it. But August Osage County was a play I was not on my radar, but you let me know about it because you were very excited about the movie, which does have a phenomenal. Meryl Streep is in that cast.
Yeah, Meryl Streep is
like when
is
does
the
she
matriarch.
not deliver an amazing performance? Sometimes it's whatever happens. And I remember watching. I watched the play, and that's also the other side of this that I think is it's such a tough angle to take, which is that I watched that movie. I have not seen the play. I've not actually even read the play. Sometimes I'll read it and then I'll go watch the movie and be like, okay, something's letting down here. But I'm gonna watch the movie. That's my first introduction to the material.
And you're like, woof.
No, it's the reverse, Ben. It's my first introduction to the material. So I'm seeing something interesting.
Oh, wow.
And I'm seeing interesting performers. And yes, there is a better
Not wolf, but more foul.
All right, I'm gonna. This is the elephant lording over this entire podcast is the Les Miserables movie. All right, your daughters love that movie.
Sure.
You and your wife have very positive feelings in that movie. I have very positive feelings for that movie. Nick and I watched that show on stage at the Kravis Center on like tour 178 of the thing.
Yeah.
And every part of it was better than the movie.
Sure.
Every single moment happening on there.
1,000%.
So there is something to be said to what is the first way you're introduced to something. This was a conversation actually that came up. I was talking to an actor friend the other day, and we were talking about cast recordings, right? And especially in musical theater, you've got your cast recordings for a lot of shows that are in the 50s and 60s. That's your original Broadway cast. It's flawed, right? From every aspect. And then you have a bunch of revivals in the 90s, which is where I first met all of these musicals. And there's a distinct sound for all of the orchestrations, for all of the voices. They have all these things. Then you get you get Rent to post-Rent,
right.
and everything sounds completely different there. And that's a whole level. So everyone's listening to all of these recordings, and everyone's like, and you go to a theater and everyone goes, well, this isn't as good as the one I grew up on. Like, that's not the one I grew up listening to was the best one. And it's a thing that happens that the first thing you hear with something oftentimes becomes your interpretation of it.
I don't agree with that, though.
What's the best version of Into the Woods?
Well, what's your favorite version of Into the Woods? The one with Bernadette Peters?
Yeah, the only version that exists in my head. I've heard amazing people do that show, but Chip Zien and Joanna Gleason and Bernadette Peters, those are my performers, especially Joanna Gleason.
What's the best version of Sweeney Todd?
Ooh, that's a great question. But again, now you're talking generation.
Angela Lansbury.
And now we're
I
talking,
don't disagree with
but
that
now
at
we're
all.
also talking for medium because,
Yes.
of course, it's better on stage. But I think
Len Carew does not work on film.
I think the Tim Burton version on film works pretty fucking well for film.
And it's the only, I will say, if you're ever going to defend the Tim Burton version, there is one distinct, and I've talked about this with several actor friends because I love it. The best way you can defend that movie is that Sacha Baron Cohen is the only performance I have ever heard of a production of Sweeney Todd and also a production of Les Mis where he uses the correct accent for the character he's playing. And especially in Les Mis. He's the only time you ever hear a French accent in any production of Les Mis is Sacha Baron Cohen. That is a French film. That is a film that takes place en français. And no one does it. Everyone does it in varying degrees of British. And I also love that he even does it opposite Helena Bonham Carter, who's doing Cockney as it normally is. And he's like, that's cute, but I'm going to be French. Because it's Thénardier. It's not.
Hey, listen, everybody in Chernobyl can be from the UK, according to HBO. Why not?
I mean, and it works.
If it's good, it's good. If it's good, it's
fabulous.
good.
Yeah.
I'll be. I think Chernobyl did more for the bad accent community than anything that's ever been produced in all of cinema. Because everyone can be like, "Listen, they were amazing." And you're like, "You can't."
John
argue with
McTiernan
that.
did it first with Hunt for Red October, where it's just like, no, all we have to do is zoom in on their face and then zoom back out, and it's fine. They can talk in whatever accent they want to.
Now, and then borrowed heavily in 13th Warrior, where they do almost the same kind of
same direction.
Direction. Amazing, so great. So I don't know what ones you have on your list in terms of. I have two big ones. One of them I know that you're actually. I think both of these are Ben film and plays. So I want to talk about. Let's talk about Doubt
Sex,
first.
baby.
Doubt first, yeah. So what are your feelings on Doubt as a film versus Doubt as a play?
I've never seen it as a play. It feels like a play on film.
Yeah.
When you watch it. My only thought is that the camera work is so wonderful about the power struggle between the two of them. I have a hard time thinking I would see it on stage and think it was superior.
I'm very similar in that, but again, I'm similar to you. I saw the movie first
And
before
just seeing
I ever
Amy
read the
Adams,
play.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Meryl Streep, Viola Davis. I mean, we're talking about the best of the best.
Now, do you know about the current Doubt happening on Broadway right now?
No.
So this is why.
Is it of the fire variety? There is a Doubtfire musical, isn't there?
That's right. You're strike two. I mean, that one
come
actually, that was pretty good,
Come on.
but it took me too long to get, and I felt stupid, so that's why you get a strike. I wasn't smart enough to understand your humor, so strike two. So there is a production of Doubt that was relaunched on Broadway. It originally was Tyne Daly in the Meryl Streep role, Liev Schreiber in the Pastor role.
Wait, the voice of Superman? The guy from Wings?
Yeah.
I'm getting restless. I'm getting restless.
It's so hard. Now, Tyne Daly had a medical emergency
Tyne!
last minute, and they brought in Amy Ryan. So there's a Doubt on Broadway right now with Amy Ryan and Liev Schreiber. And I go, yeah, I will go.
Yeah.
I would watch that movie or play in a second because I think those are two people that I've always watched make interesting decisions and choices as actors. And that's the hard part of it. But I agree with you also. Are you ever going to beat the 4-person cast of Doubt on film and what they did on there and the people that won Oscars for that and watching close-ups of Viola Davis literally snot and tears streaming from her face? And what I think is interesting about Doubt, different from all of the other things we're talking about, Doubt is one of the few film versions of plays that not only feels like a play, it feels like I'm watching someone on stage. Like when you watch her having that breakdown, that
big.
doesn't
It's very
feel
big.
like
It's big.
a movie to me. And
it's
but
big.
it also cuts to my bone.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do that unless you have the perfect director and the perfect cast leaning into it so hard and being like, we're gonna do this.
Oh, you only cast 4 of the best actors in the world. And
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
It is really one of the most that's one of the few that really affected me watching it and being like, I'm in awe of everything I'm watching.
One of my first dates with my wife.
What?
Yeah.
Ben knows how to get him ready.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Wow.
So, and then after they watched it and Ben was in bed with her, he was like, so what are your feelings about religion? I love it.
Actually, we walked out of the theater. I was like, should we pray?
I'm
No doubt for effortless Wilson.
No, it's like, all right, that was, I'll give you a half.
Can I? So,
Yes.
we were talking about Tracy Letts a little bit
Yeah.
earlier. Because I really was. I mean, like, I still so viscerally remember watching August Osage County in person. It was
Did you see that in New York?
in New York on Broadway with the original cast. It was wild. It was really wild. I had no idea he fucking wrote Bug.
Yeah.
That was eventually
Bug. Yeah, which was
Bug,
made into a movie.
which was made into a movie with Ashley Judd and Harry Connick Jr., directed by William Friedkin, which is one of the most fucking underrated movies of that entire era. I love that movie.
That was his second play.
I had no idea it was a play.
Killer Joe, Bug.
Huh.
I had no idea. I was blown away. I was looking into that. I was like, what? I knew I fucking liked that guy.
I have again, I'm pivoting. I'm so sorry to not keep us totally on track. But Ben and Nick, both of you, do you have a play you're passionate about or that you've read or you've seen that you would love to see made into a film?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Yeah. Skin of Our Teeth by Thornton Wilder. The absurdist play with the dinosaur and
Yeah.
it's like I remember it made a big impact on me because it felt like Adult Swim made a play that somehow was like heralded by historians as a classic play. Like I was reading it, I'm like, how is this a classic? This is so weird and silly, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. But you talk to actors who get to be in that play.
Yeah.
It's a hoot. It was like what, like a landmark absurdist play, right? I don't even know what year it was. It's kind of old, but I would think I would do it in like a Tim. I would have Tim and Eric's The Skin of Our Teeth is how I would pitch it, and I think it actually like weirdly would translate.
I that's fantastic. That's kind of what I wanted to hear, kind of out of this question of what are the things that you've read that you think. Ben, do you have something on your radar that's not been adapted, or that you think has a better adaptation in its sights?
No, I mean, the only thing I can think of, I mean, I'm not usually reading plays, or anything that's not been adapted yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I had something in my head that was as a possible thing, but no, that's a really difficult one. Just because,
It is.
just because
I know.
I mean, like, usually if I'm reading a play of something, it's like I'm reading the play of a movie I just saw that it was based
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
You
No,
know.
and I think that's a really interesting thing about that as well. And I'm the same. I honestly I don't get a lot of new ones in, and part of what I kind of was working on last year was kind of trying to read new things and literally just Googling like what are the most interesting plays of the last 5 years or 10 years. And we both saw Constellations, which is a play I had not seen before. I know we disagreed a little bit about that play. I don't think I need to see that actually on film, to be honest. I don't think it makes any sense on film at all. I thought for me it was literally that cast in that moment. I don't think I would even want to watch it with other people in it, I don't think it works other than in that room that I saw it in for me. But I read a play last year called Appropriate. That's now they've relaunched it in Broadway right now, and I think it is Toni Collette and I forget who the male actor is. Corey Stoll. But I will say it's really interesting when you're looking at plays into film and also looking at how plays are written, which the first time I've ever encountered this, and Ben and I have worked on screenplays and have read a lot of things in their native form and learned about structure and rules and all this. And Appropriate had one of the most bizarre but wonderful scripts I've ever read. And we did a reading here with like a few actor friends, and every time you do readings with people, you have to have someone that reads the stage directions. And the stage directions is always the shittiest part of the job. So you've got to read this action, their interior, they're going here, someone's walking over there, they do this. And the person that wrote this play wrote almost poetry for the stage direction, including the entire like denouement and end of the play is all written, and we're watching the house, and the house is decaying, and seasons are going by, and seasons are changing, and things are changing in the house, and it's falling apart, but it's still staying strong, and people are coming and going, like, and it was literally like listening to and it was a page and a half of stage direction on it. The play is Appropriate. It is to me one of the most like interesting and phenomenal pieces of theater I've read in a long time. Someone's going to pick it up for a movie. But what I worry is that there's a lot of August Osage County on it.
Well, so, I mean, that's the thing is I've read books recently that I'm like, wow, that would make an amazing movie. But, I mean...
I've read books recently.
Ben knew about Wheel of Time before it was the thing that existed in front of my eyes and not just words on pages.
They were cave drawings.
Also, Ben will not ever watch Wheel of Time with his wife and or me again.
Oh, God.
I do. This is such a segue, but it makes me really... So, Ben and Beth and I did watch the Oscars together on Sunday night this week. And Ben has created a superpower that I absolutely love, which is to completely zone...
Wait. So he made it back in time for the Oscars?
No, well, we delayed them for an hour and a half, and then we did them on DVR. So
that's
like,
adorable.
I got the girl.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Happy anniversary.
I got the girls put to like bathe and whatever, and they're gonna watch the opening of the Oscars, which also was confusing to them. To like, oh, so we get to watch the opening, and they watch the opening, and like, so that's what people tune in to watch. We're like, they used to, but not so much anymore. But
off the bed, cue. I'm just Ken.
And there were moments though during the Oscars that Beth and I just would be like, so anyway, what's going on? And Ben would be hyper focused, and we'd be like, what do you think, Ben? He's like, I didn't hear what you said. And she goes, Ben has completely tuned the two of us out through this entire telecast. Yeah. So he could watch it in silence.
I wish, Ben, you could have taught me that Jedi skill so I could have survived the Golden Globes.
Oh, that was not fun for anyone. But anyway, but especially
it was less fun for me.
It was less fun for you. In my defense, you showed up to my house.
Alcohol was involved.
No, also in my defense, you showed up to my house very inebriated, and I my first hour was trying to match your energy, and then I went above and beyond.
Well, whose fault is that?
That was on me. I don't know where you went in between my birthday and the Golden Globes, but you came back a different man, and I was like, well, I got to meet this energy, and then I overcompensated.
It was Hooters. It really was Hooters and Boca.
The Boca Hooters.
It wasn't. Amazing. It was not my choice. It was not my choice.
So one of the things I didn't want to get us too deep on was
what I choose is my choice, as Billy Corgan famously once said.
I didn't want to get us too deep into the Shakespeare of it all. I kind of ignored all of that. But Ben, do you have any specific ones on your list you want to go into here before we tie up?
No, I mean there.
Closer.
Well, I like Closer.
Yeah, I'm always curious. I think that play is completely different than the movie in a number of ways.
Well, Mike Nichols definitely went his own direction for the movie, which is I'm kind of indifferent on that. I was interested originally in reading for that play.
Yeah.
and then you know,
It's-
life happens.
Yeah. It's the play to me, like reading that play is so different than how it was cast in that movie. It's that one for me. That's one that's directed well, but the casting is bizarre to me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't track versus like I'm trying to think. I have ones on here. Like I have a lot of random one. I also have ones that were on my list. Same as Driving Miss Daisy. I did not know that Children of a Lesser God was a play before it was a movie, which is a Marley Matlin phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen a production of it in play form. The only two that I wanted to talk about, and they seg into, it's almost like Shakespeare. There's so many of them, which is Neil Simon works. And I grew up on, in the 80s, Brighton Beach Memoirs and Biloxi Blues were two plays and movies I was obsessed with as a kid. And Lakewood Playhouse is doing Biloxi Blues this November. I thought though, Neil Simon's writing for the Jerome and Eugene characters specifically in those films felt, even though it's not my heritage at all, they felt so organic to me. It felt to me like watching, honestly, especially Bright Beach Memoirs felt to me like watching Christmas Story.
Sure.
Like it was the same thing to me. I would watch those movies back to back and be like, oh, this is like Ralphie grown up to me on there. And I do love that those are pretty faithful and well cast adaptations for both of those, even though you've got, Matthew Broderick.
Who directed Biloxi Blues? It was a famous director.
Let me look it up here.
Computer.
Mike Nichols. We've had him up already tonight on here. Yeah, so that's always also funny. If you look at Friedkin and Nichols, and there are a lot of directors that go to stage for what they think is their strong suit and what they can do. Also, and for Nichols, it makes perfect sense because this is someone that is looking at timing and performance and acting.
Who's starring in Sage.
Yeah, and not nearly as much visual. Although great visuals in certain films, including ones that we bonded over originally and things. But like I think there's something interesting about who chooses to direct these.
It makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. That Mike Nichols did a soundtrack completely comprised of Neil Simon.
Yeah. Not Neil.
But,
not
amazing.
No.
Hey, you look at like Dustin Hoffman. I'm not sure if it's only his only directing credit, but he directed Quartet.
Yeah.
In 2012 or 2014. Great movie. Play. It's a play. It's just an actor's play. Where you're working with four people.
That's also so that's a weird like tangent of kind of the calculus that comes into doing these things. Also is the number of people involved in the production. Can you so I remember there's a film made of a script play called Marvin's Room. That's De Niro is in the film version of it, DiCaprio as well. And what's funny is that's one of the few times where I've seen the play before the movie, and that it was written by a young author who died, I believe of AIDS in Ohio, and he went to the high school of a girl that I was best friends with at Ohio State. And we went like one weekend. I went up to go to where her family lived in Solon, Ohio, up near Cleveland. And we went and watched a production of Marvin's Room at her high school because they perform it like every other year because it's this alumni of their school wrote this. It's like their claim to fame. They always do the show. And then they're like, oh, and by the way, this year they're turning it into a feature film with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. And the movie is not. It's It's way low on all of those actors' lists of like, was this a successful production? And it's like, I don't even know who directed it. Maybe it's somebody good. It doesn't look like it was somebody good. It just looked like they were like, let's capitalize on DiCaprio and De Niro, and we've got a good script, and this guy seems kind of hot right now. It's interesting kind of how those conversations happen in terms of what pieces of stage do we turn into movies, and then how much do we put on them? Which that's the rent of it all at that point, right? Of like
The rent.
the rent
I mean,
of it
how
all.
how we gonna pay it?
Rent of It All to me is one of the most fascinating discussions in this whole thing, even though it is a musical. We have kind of talked about it in that every part of it was done in a way that they thought was what the people wanted. So the first step was like, what's the number one complaint when we take a musical and bring it to Broadway? Well, it wasn't the people we saw on Broadway. It wasn't the cast we saw, and they were the better voices, and they cast Hollywood types. So they're like, we're going to cast the Broadway cast a decade and a half after they make any sense for these roles. But because they're misreading all of the feedback. All right.
Listen.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the Rent movie,
Yeah.
it's awful.
Yes.
It's fucking terrible.
Yes.
It's so bad.
But there's so many reasons it's bad.
Not if you love crane shots.
And one, that's the first time I learned about cranes in movies was the Rent movie. But it's also
How we gonna pay for this crane shot?
But like it's funny to me because I grew up. I remember growing up, especially with my mom was kind of like a theater-ish geek, but more so like on the like very I'm better than you kind of standpoint. So like I remember when Evita was being cast and she's like, they're gonna cast Madonna and it should be Patti LuPone. It should be blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't know who Patti LuPone is. I know who Madonna is. I'm a dumb kid. I'll go pay for a movie with Madonna in it. I don't know this Patti LuPone. What did you say her name was? I don't remember.
And now kids don't even know Madonna.
It's true. But you look at something like Rent, where they're like, you can literally hear the execs having the wrong conversations in the room and be like, what do people really respond? What makes people angry about movies? They didn't cast the original Broadway cast. We're going to bring all of them back, except for Daphne Rubin Vega, because we can't get her. But we're going to bring everyone back, even though they don't make sense in the ages and all of that. And that's step one that's wrong. And every step on top of that just continues to be wrong, slapped on wrong, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, or Christopher Columbus directing. It's like, well, that's not the right guy.
Do you? We've somewhat had this conversation. Also, again, we'll wrap up soon here, but I need to know the answer first. If you were a successful director so at that time, Chris Columbus can kind of make whatever movie he wants.
Sure.
And you had a passion project, but you secretly knew you weren't right for that passion project. Do you think you would have the wherewithal to remove yourself from the running of that passion project?
Yes.
I would fucking hope so.
So I think your answer is correct for you. I think I'm Chris Columbus. I think I get offered Into the Woods in a decade from now. No, I should not direct Into the Woods, but I really want to direct
I have
Into
turned
the
down a
Woods.
job that pays twice what I make now because I'm not right for the job.
I think of the three, actually both of you, I'm the bad one. I think both of you would turn down things that you wanted to do, but felt you were wrong
I think
for.
No.
I think there's also the psychology of like convincing yourself that you are the right pick for this property.
I can't do that.
I'm the only person that can do this.
It's a self-awareness thing more than a selfishness thing.
I see. I don't think Columbus ever felt that. I think he felt what I felt, which is that I think he was like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do this, but I want to. I don't think he ever had the cocksureness to be like, I'm the one to direct this. He just wanted to do it, and then he got into it. and He's like, I wasn't the right person to do this.
I'm the one who should discover America.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I'm still waiting for the 1994 Spike Lee adaptation of Red, so we'll see.
Ooh. Whew. That'd be something.
A joint, you mean?
Yeah, Spike Lee was the one who was going to direct that movie for 10 years.
What happened?
Lots of shit.
Well, it happens.
Yeah. I also don't know if...
I think Spike Lee would have been great.
Do you, dead honest question, do you think there is actually a version of Rent cinematically that can work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, for
That
sure.
I don't, I'm not, this is not a challenge. I'm more interested.
Well, again-
there's certain
again, it's
musicals
about-
I'm like, this can never work
Listen,
on film.
Listen, and like a lot of like the allure of it was Jonathan and the circumstances leading up to the opening, but like
Sure.
you know, it really that cast was special.
Yeah,
You
the opening Broadway cast was one of the most magical
And
casts
that-
of
and
all
that-
time.
you could take or leave Rent, right? But like at the end of the day, it was
Are you shitting me? You shitting me, Nick Santakroshi? God
Let me
damn
finish.
it! God damn it!
I'm just saying, a dynamic cast, a new, young, dynamic cast could make that a hit. And think about all there is to say now with housing. I mean, for God's sake, now is not the fucking perfect time.
It's
Old Glee clips are going viral on TikTok. You know, let Gen Z make Rent.
The problem is, so every person of the generation that's out there right now watches Rent and goes, "Why didn't they get a fucking job?" And every one of them is like, "But seriously, why? Like, couldn't they get?" And they're also like, there was a villainization of selling out in the '90s that was so prevalent that the generation right now literally cannot fathom Mark's arc of being like, I'm sorry, MTV offered you a job, but you felt like it wasn't like
That's the reality bites of it.
it was going to be too like high pro. Like they're asking you to like film babies dying. They're like, no, just like be doing music videos and stuff.
Well, the thing is that Rent isn't about putting in a check to live in a place. It's about finding your place.
Sure.
It's about making connections. It's about feeling like what you do has meaning before it's too late.
It's about living with and not dying
Damn it.
from disease.
So upset.
Let us mansplain Rent to you, Matt.
I'm so upset with the turn.
You
of
adapt
this
it. You adapt it. You adapt it.
I know I
Matt.
brought this up, but I'm very upset.
You
What's
brought this on
happening
yourself.
Right now. I did. I really did. I tried. Listen, 2 years ago, Ben recorded a song saying, how are we going to make Matt like Rent? And Tick Tick Boom came really close, but then it also became the thing that I liked better than Rent. So we'll never go back to Rent. I had one more question. I think I've forgotten it though. But this has been fascinating. All of this conversation has been super fascinating to me.
You don't have any more questions for us?
I honestly had a really good one that was in my head, but then we got so deep into Rent that it broke it out of my brain. That I don't think there's a.
Well, I'm sure that Ryan and Patrick will be the beneficiaries of that once you remember what it is. Throw it in the text thread.
Ryan.
Oh,
throw it in the text thread.
How's the honeymoon going for Ryan?
Oh well.
Is it more feet pics? Because that's going to require.
More feet pics.
Ask if he's busy, and I'll start a new 137 text exchange.
Yeah,
He's doing well.
No, Rent was one of those ones that popped in my head in terms of like, I don't think there's a time for Rent anymore that makes sense to tell that story. That it doesn't ring true in the way it rang true for that generation.
See Matt.
The rent is too damn high, if you will.
Again, that's a 30-year-old reference at this point. I mean, we're old guys. I'd hate to break it to you, but kids nowadays are like. It is really funny of all of these. Like, there's all of these young.
Have you guys seen that grape lady from Atlanta? You seen that?
I just love that there are like young people that want to do Rent, and then I'll talk to them about like, what do you get out of Rent? And they're like, oh, it's terrible. Literally, every one of them goes, why don't these people get a job? I don't understand what's going on. There's all of this complaints about. We don't have things. And they're like, why do they care about this other thing that's happening over there? Just like, get a job. Guys, get a job. Mark's mom wants to give him money.
The new version of Rent, the new subplot, hold on. The new subplot of Rent, the new B story is that the neighborhood where everyone's living is getting gentrified.
Yeah.
Rent is going up. They're getting pushed out while simultaneously trying to get jobs that don't exist.
There you go. That makes sense to this generation. 90s Rent doesn't.
I was going to say that I find some of what you preach suspect. Because I'm used to relying on intellect.
There it is. There it is. Well, that's the New Way Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Because people thought I would have died 3 years ago.
I'm going to do something I have never done on the podcast ever before. I'm letting...
End it?
I'm letting...
End it voluntarily?
No. I'm letting Nick and Ben end it. I am tapping out of the end of this. Nick and Ben are going to end it.
Well, that's right. That was the New Way. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, the Roger Corman special. Be sure to check in for that. Shocks, Schlocks, and more. All you need. And another original song by Benjamin Scott Wilson. Thanks, everyone. And cheers. Okay, you can stop now.
Sorry, I'm just fucking around.
See how hard it is to do the cheers when you don't have people on board?
It's like herding cats, Matt.
Cheers!
Cats! But only if it was a monster movie set inside of an office.
Cunster. Sorry. Bye.